I had hiked dozens of trails before, but Black Ridge Trail was supposed to be easy. Just a 5-mile loop through dense forest, popular during the day and empty at night. That was exactly why I chose it. I wanted silence. The ranger at the entrance looked at me strangely when I told him I'd be hiking overnight. "Trail closes at sunset," he said flatly. "I'll be quick," I replied. He hesitated, then handed me a map. "Stay on the marked path." I started just before dusk. The air was cold, but manageable. The sky faded from orange to purple, and soon the forest swallowed the last bit of light. My flashlight cut through the darkness in a narrow beam. At first, everything felt normal. Crickets, wind in the trees, my boots crunching gravel. Then I noticed something odd. The trail markers, bright red paint on tree trunks, began appearing less frequently. I checked the map. According to it, I should have reached a wooden bridge by now. There was no bridge. Instead, the path split into 2 narrow trails. Neither one was on the map. I turned around to head back. The way behind me looked different. The trees seemed closer together. The trail narrower. My heartbeat picked up. I told myself I was overthinking. Forests looked different at night. That's all. Then I saw it. A red trail marker. But this one wasn't painted. It looked smeared, like someone had dragged their hand down the tree. Fresh. My stomach tightened. From somewhere deep in the woods, I heard a faint crunch. Not an animal. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. And matching mine. I stopped walking. The footsteps stopped too. My breath became shallow. The forest felt heavier somehow, like the air itself was watching me. "Hello," I called out. No answer. I shone my flashlight into the trees. Twisted branches. Thick shadows. Nothing else. Then I took a step. Crunch. Another step. Crunch. Perfectly synced. Whoever, or whatever it was, stayed just far enough that I couldn't see it. I tried to convince myself it was an echo. But echoes don't hesitate when you hesitate. The temperature suddenly dropped. I could see my breath now. That wasn't in the forecast. My phone buzzed in my pocket, making me nearly scream. I pulled it out. No signal. But the screen was on. The compass app had opened by itself, and it was spinning wildly. North, south, east, west. Faster and faster. Then it froze, pointing behind me. Very slowly, I turned. My flashlight flickered. For a split second, I saw something between the trees. Tall. Too tall. Its head almost brushing the lower branches. It wasn't moving. It was just standing there, watching. My flashlight died completely. Darkness swallowed everything. And in that darkness, I heard breathing. Not mine. Deeper. Closer. Right behind my shoulder. I ran. Branches scratched my face as I pushed through the trees. I didn't care about the trail anymore. I just needed distance. After what felt like forever, I stumbled into a clearing. In the center was a small campsite. A dead campfire. A torn tent. And a backpack lying open. Relief washed over me. Other hikers. People. "Hello," I shouted again. No response. I approached the tent carefully. The zipper was halfway open. Inside, nothing. No sleeping bag. No gear. Just dirt. The backpack had supplies inside. Water. Food. A flashlight. And a phone. I picked it up. The screen was cracked, but it still turned on. The last video recorded was only minutes old. With shaking hands, I pressed play. The video showed this exact clearing. The camera holder was breathing heavily. Then the camera turned toward the trees. And I saw it. That tall shape. Standing at the edge of the clearing. In the video, the person whispered, "It keeps copying me." The shape raised its arm. At the exact same time as the person filming. Perfect mimicry. Then the camera dropped. The video ended. A sudden snap echoed behind me. I slowly turned. At the edge of the clearing. It was there. And this time, it was standing exactly like me. My heart pounded so hard I thought I would pass out. The thing in the trees lifted its head slightly. So did I? I hadn't meant to. My body moved before my mind decided to. It smiled. Or at least, its mouth stretched wider than it should have. I tried lowering my arm. It lowered its arm. No, it wasn't copying me. I was copying it. Panic exploded inside me. I forced myself to step backward. It stepped backward too, but its movement was smoother. Controlled. like it had practiced this before. I grabbed the other hiker's flashlight from the backpack and turned it on. The beam hit its face. There were no features, just stretched, pale skin. But where I should have been, there were dark holes. Deep, empty. Suddenly my body jerked forward. I didn't command it. It felt like invisible strings were pulling me. The creature tilted its head again. My neck twisted painfully to match. I screamed. The forest screamed back. Not echoes. Dozens of voices, all screaming at once. The creature's arm slowly raised, and my arm followed. Higher, higher, until it pointed directly at my own chest. Its other hand formed a fist. So did mine, and I realized something horrifying. It wasn't mimicking. It was controlling, and it was deciding what I would do next. I fought against my own body with everything I had. My fist trembled inches from my chest. No, I shouted. The creature stepped closer into the clearing. Moonlight revealed its full height, at least 8 feet tall. Its limbs were too long, its movements too smooth. I bit my own tongue hard. Pain shot through me. The control weakened for just a second. That was enough. I threw myself sideways and grabbed the fallen phone from the ground. Without thinking, I aimed the cracked screen toward the creature and hit record. For a split second, it froze, completely still. My body was my own again. The creature tilted its head. Then suddenly, it lunged. I don't remember running. I don't remember finding the trail. All I remember is bursting out of the forest near the ranger station at dawn. The ranger was standing outside, waiting. His expression didn't change when he saw me. "You went off the marked path," he said quietly. I tried to explain. The creature, the campsite, the video. He didn't react. Instead, he walked past me toward the forest. I turned to look back. At the tree near the entrance, there was a fresh red trail marker. Not paint. A long smear dragged downward. 5 finger marks. Still wet. And in the reflection of the ranger station window. For just a second, the figure standing behind me was taller than it should have been. The trailhead sign read, Pine Hollow Ridge, 7 miles. Underneath it, someone had scratched a second message into the wood. Do not hike after dark. I should have taken that as a warning. But I didn't believe in superstition. I believed in preparation. I had water, food, a GPS tracker, extra batteries, and years of hiking experience. Pine Hollow was supposed to be quiet at night, almost abandoned this time of year. Exactly what I wanted. The first 2 miles were peaceful. The forest smelled like damp earth and pine sap. My headlamp lit the path in a clean white circle. Every now and then, I'd hear leaves rustling, probably deer moving through the brush. Then I noticed something strange. No insects, no wind, no distant owl calls, just silence. The kind of silence that feels heavy. I stopped walking. That's when I heard it. Footsteps behind me. Soft, slow, matching my pace. I spun around. Nothing. The trail behind me was empty. I stood there for nearly a minute, listening. Nothing again. I laughed nervously and kept moving. 10 minutes later, my GPS vibrated. Recalculating. That didn't make sense. I hadn't changed direction. I checked the screen. Instead of the clear trail map, the display showed a single blinking dot. Me. And around it, nothing. No trail. No topography. Just a blank gray screen. The forest suddenly felt unfamiliar. The trees looked taller, closer, and when I glanced back at the trailhead sign in the distance, the carved warning was gone, like it had never been there. By the 3rd mile, I knew something was wrong. Every sound I made echoed back at me, but slightly delayed. Not like a normal forest echo, more like someone repeating me. I cleared my throat. A second later, from somewhere ahead on the trail, someone else cleared theirs. I froze. "Hello," I called out. Silence. Then, faintly in the distance, "Hello." Same tone, same pitch, my voice. A cold shiver slid down my spine. I switched off my headlamp. Darkness swallowed everything instantly. I wanted to see if anything moved without my light disturbing it. At first, nothing. Then, a pale shape shifted between 2 trees. Tall, thin, watching. I snapped the light back on. Nothing there. My breathing quickened. I took another step forward. Crunch. And ahead of me. Crunch. Before my boot even touched the ground. It wasn't following me. It was anticipating me. My phone buzzed with a low battery warning. Impossible. I had 80% left. The screen flickered and switched to the camera. The front-facing camera. My own face filled the screen. Except, it wasn't blinking when I blinked. It was smiling. I wasn't. I dropped the phone. When I looked down to pick it up, the smile on the screen slowly faded. But my reflection's eyes stayed open longer than they should have. I ran off the main trail without thinking. Branches tore at my jacket as I pushed through the forest. I needed shelter. Walls. Something solid. That's when I saw it. A small wooden cabin tucked between the trees. No windows. One door. No lights. It looked old, abandoned for decades. But it was better than being exposed in the open. I rushed inside and slammed the door shut behind me. The air inside was stale and cold. Dust covered everything. There was a single wooden chair in the center of the room, facing the door. I didn't like that. I checked my phone again. No signal. Battery at 3%. How? I hadn't used it that much. Then I heard it. Knocking. 3 slow taps on the cabin door. I held my breath. Another 3 taps. Exactly the same rhythm. Then, my voice from outside. Let me in. My blood turned to ice. I hadn't spoken. Please, my voice said again. Closer this time. The door handle slowly turned. But I had locked it. The handle twisted harder. Wood creaked under pressure. Then silence. Complete silence. I backed away from the door and bumped into something behind me. The chair. Except it wasn't facing the door anymore. It was facing me. I stared at the chair. I hadn't moved it. I was sure of that. Slowly, carefully, I stepped away from it. The floorboards creaked beneath my boots. And behind me, another set of creaks. Inside the cabin. Not outside. Inside. I turned slowly. The far corner of the room looked darker than the rest. Not shadow dark. Solid dark. Like something was standing there blocking the weak moonlight leaking through cracks in the walls. I grabbed the chair and threw it toward the corner. It hit something. Not the wall. Something that stumbled backward. A tall shape unfolded itself from the darkness. Limbs bending at unnatural angles. It stepped forward. And with every step, the air felt thinner. Harder to breathe. It didn't have a face. Just smooth skin where features should be. But I could feel it looking at me. Studying me. Then it opened its mouth. Vertically. From forehead to chin. And my own scream came out of it. Loud. Terrified. Desperate. I hadn't made a sound. The door behind me creaked open slowly. Cold night air rushed inside. The creature tilted its head, inviting me to run, like it wanted the chase. I bolted through the open door and sprinted into the forest. I didn't care about direction anymore. Branches whipped against my face as I ran downhill. I saw a faint glow ahead. Relief surged through me. The trailhead. I burst through the trees and stopped. The Pine Hollow Ridge sign stood in front of me again. 7 miles. Exactly where I started. But something was different. Under the carved warning, there was fresh writing. You came back. My breath shook in my chest. I turned around slowly. The forest behind me wasn't dark anymore. It was gray. Fog rolling between the trees. And within the fog, dozens of tall shapes. Standing still. Watching. The cabin door creaked somewhere behind them. Even though I was miles away from it. My phone buzzed one last time. Battery, 1%. The screen showed the trail map again. Except now, there were 2 blinking dots. One was me. The other was right behind me. I didn't need to turn around to know. A warm breath brushed the back of my neck. And a familiar voice whispered, "Do not hike after dark." The screen went black. And the forest swallowed the sound of my final step. I wasn't supposed to be hiking alone. Ethan was meant to meet me at the Iron Creek trailhead at 6 p.m. By 6:30, the parking lot was empty except for my car. No message. No call. I told myself he probably got delayed. I decided to start without him. Iron Creek Trail was known for its scenic overlook at the summit. A perfect place to watch the moon rise. I had done this hike twice before, but never at night. The first mile felt normal. My headlamp lit up the gravel path, and the forest smelled like wet pine. Somewhere in the distance, water rushed over rocks. Then my phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. Don't go up. I stopped walking. Another message came immediately after. It's not the same trail. I tried calling him. No signal. The message timestamp showed 3:12 a.m. That wasn't possible. It was only 8:47 p.m. I turned around to head back to the parking lot. But the path behind me was gone. Not faded. Gone. Where there had been a wide gravel trail, there was now dense forest, thick bushes, and tightly packed trees. My stomach tightened. I walked forward again, hoping to find the overlook and maybe a ranger station beyond it. That's when I noticed the trail markers. They were no longer nailed to trees. They were carved directly into the bark, deep, jagged, and every single one of them pointed uphill, as if something wanted me to keep climbing. The higher I climbed, the colder it got. Not natural cold. Sharp, sudden, like stepping into a freezer. My breath fogged in front of me, even though it hadn't been cold earlier. I kept checking my phone. The time hadn't moved. 8:47 p.m. It had been stuck there for at least 20 minutes. Then I heard it. My name. Soft. Carried by the wind. Daniel. I froze. It sounded like Ethan. Relief flooded me. Ethan? Where are you? I shouted. Silence. Then again. Daniel. Closer this time. But wrong. The voice sounded stretched, like someone learning how to pronounce it. I moved toward the sound. The trees grew thinner until I reached a small clearing. In the center stood a single wooden post. Attached to it was a sign. Summit, 1 mile. Carved beneath it. Turn around. The carving looked fresh. Sap still leaking from the cuts. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Ethan. This time a photo. It showed me, standing in the clearing, looking at the sign. But the picture was taken from behind, and I was completely alone. The timestamp read 3:19 a.m. A twig snapped behind me. I turned slowly. At the edge of the clearing stood a silhouette. It was shaped like a person, but too tall, and its arms hung far past where they should have. I ran the final mile without thinking. The forest felt tighter, like it was closing in. Branches scraped my shoulders, and the cold air burned my lungs. Then suddenly, the trees opened up. The overlook. A cliff edge with a clear view of the valley below. Except the valley wasn't there. Instead of distant lights and rolling hills, there was darkness. Endless black. Like the world stopped at the edge of the cliff. The moon hung unnaturally large in the sky. Too close. Too bright. My phone finally changed time. 3:20 a.m. My heart dropped. I never remembered climbing for that long. Behind me, footsteps approached slowly. I didn't turn around. I knew it was there. The thing from the clearing. It stopped a few feet behind me. I could hear its breathing. Slow. Heavy. Then it spoke. In Ethan's voice. You shouldn't have come without me. I clenched my fists. You're not him, I whispered. It laughed. But the laugh glitched. Like two sounds layered over each other. You left me here. That didn't make sense. Ethan had never been here. I finally turned around and saw my own face staring back at me. Same clothes, same backpack, same terrified expression, except its eyes were completely black. It stepped closer, and when it did, I felt weaker, like something was being drained from me. The copy tilted its head. You can go home, it said calmly. Its voice was steady, confident, unlike mine. You just have to stay. The words didn't make sense. How can I stay and go home? I asked. It smiled. You stay? I go home. My blood ran cold. The thing reached into its pocket and pulled out a phone. My phone. It unlocked it easily. Scrolled through my photos. My contacts. My life. I can do this better, it said softly. Then it stepped toward the edge of the cliff. And suddenly, my body moved. Against my will. One step closer to the drop. The copy didn't move. I did. It was controlling me. Using me like a reflection in reverse. You fall, it whispered. I walk away. My heels touched the cliff's edge. Pebbles tumbled into the endless darkness below. I tried to scream. Nothing came out. The copy raised its hand, and I felt my body lean forward. Something snapped inside me. Not a bone. A thought. If it was copying my life, maybe I could copy it back. I forced my arm upward. The copy's arm lifted too. Confusion flickered across its face. I stepped sideways suddenly. It stumbled. Just slightly. That was enough. I lunged forward and tackled it. We both fell, but not off the cliff, onto solid ground. The overlook was gone. The valley was back. Normal. Morning light bled through the trees. Birds chirped. The air felt warm again. I lay there, gasping. Alone. No copy. No endless darkness. My phone buzzed. 8:12 a.m. A message from Ethan. Hey man, sorry I couldn't make it last night. I stared at the screen. Slowly, I stood up. The trail behind me led clearly back to the parking lot. Everything looked normal. Too normal. When I reached my car, I froze. There was another car parked beside mine. Same model. Same color. Same dent on the rear bumper. And in the driver's seat, someone was already sitting there, watching me, with my face.